What guys will notice is if they start calling and texting more and initiating more, the woman backs off and she initiates less. And then what happens is the responses get shorter. She takes longer to reply. And then when you want to get together for a date or to do something, you notice she's not as excited about it as she was before. The reality is, it's a scientific fact that women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. They like it when they have to reach out to you more. I didn't make them that way. It's just the way you guys are.
Dude being like, oh, you're gonna push women away if you over pursue. Like, yeah, like maybe if I'm not interested in the guy to begin with, and or he is trying to text and call me 50 times a day, and he thinks I have no life, like, yeah, that might push me away a little bit or make me a little concerned. Like, does this dude not have anything better going on? But if a dude calls me once or twice or maybe even 3 or 4 times a day, as long as he's okay with me being busy sometimes, like, I love a man to call, but sometimes I am busy. I'm in the middle of something. I might be cooking, I might be cleaning, I might be working, I might be on the toilet, I might be helping somebody, whatever. As long as he's not like a lot of guys are, where they're emotional, overly emotional, and they want to pout and mope over every little thing that doesn't go their way, and like, oh, you're busy, you're always busy all the time. Well, okay, I'm not. It's like, dude, we talked for 3 hours last night. What do you mean I'm busy all the time? Just because right now I can't talk to you? Like, as long as he's not like that, then yeah. When this guy says over pursue, it doesn't sound like he's describing a stalker situation where the guy is trying to call you 100 times a day. I don't want a guy who has his feelings unclear. I've honestly noticed something about myself. I'm learning things about myself the longer I'm in the dating game, which I kind of don't like to admit because it almost feels like, well, maybe that's why I'm single for so long, because I'm still having to learn stuff and I don't want to. I just want to get married, get over with. But then again, the things I'm learning about myself I don't think are big enough for me to have an epiphany and be like, oh yes, I'm definitely single because this was such a big thing for me to learn, that God was holding back all the men or holding back the one special man I'm supposed to marry. But I have noticed that I don't do well with people who are all mysterious and it's like pulling teeth trying to find out what's going on in their head or their heart. I can't stand, especially when it comes to romantically pursuing these guys for marriage, courting these guys. I don't do well with guys who are really quiet. I don't do well with guys who aren't expressive. Like, you don't have to act like a cartoon character, but if you're constantly acting like you're in a bad mood and you're not, and it's like me in a maze trying to figure out how you're feeling or what's going on all the time. Like, that's just going to annoy me and be exhausting for me. I don't like guys whose feelings are unclear, and he's saying that's attractive. I do best with guys who have like higher energy, guys who are more expressive, more silly, lively, passionate. I love and I get along very well with passionate people, and they are incredibly hard to find, especially nowadays. Those are the kinds of guys I do best with. If a guy thinks that he can tell me he's ready for marriage, but he's only going to talk to me once or twice or 3 or 4 days a week, that's not going to cut it. I should hear from you every day, even if sometimes you can only talk for 10 seconds, if sometimes you're like, hey, I had a really hard day at work, I'm about to pass out, I'm really tired, I just wanted to tell you I love you and I hope you have a good night, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Like, just the fact that he is making me a priority and he's taking the time out of his day to keep up with those consistent phone calls, that's all that matters to me, because that's showing me that he is reliable, he's consistent, he is pursuing me, I'm on his mind, and I'm on his mind and heart so much that he's going to take action. He's not going to just be like, well, I was thinking of you last night and the day before and the day before, but I haven't called you all week. Like, well, I appreciate you thinking about me, but that's not really enough to have a marriage going. right? I don't want to be concerned that I'm going to be in a marriage with a guy who is like, well, I was thinking about buying you flowers. I was thinking about romantic things, but he never actually does it. I want a man of action, you know? So there's a lot of reasons and a lot of things that I derive out of these little things, like just a quick phone call or whatever every day. And I don't expect much. I expect the bare minimum. For a guy who is expecting me to potentially sacrifice my life in childbirth, being the maid, the chef, the surrogate, the nanny, the homeschooling teacher, the this, the that, and the other, then me expecting a quick phone call at the very least, and for some consistency, for goodness sake, that's what's wrong with this world. People are so selfish and so lazy, where they just don't want to put any work into a relationship. Like I'm flexible, I'm understanding. I understand if sometimes you fall short. I fall short all the time as well. But I should see you trying your best like I'm going to be trying my best. If you're making a need clearly stated for things to continue between us, if you tell me you expect us to talk every day, then I'm going to do everything in my power that we talk every day. And if, yeah, maybe like once in a great while, like if I'm sick or I happen to oversleep or whatever, then, I don't expect you to just drop me like a hot potato. I wouldn't do that to you. But if, weeks and weeks are going by and I feel like I'm not being treated fairly and I'm being disrespected or you're feeling that way, then I don't expect anyone to put up with any kind of disrespect like that, any kind of mistreatment. So how come I'll give it, but I don't get it back when it comes to relationships? How come I'm always the one who cares the most, tries the most? I'm the one that's trying to be romantic and loving and thoughtful and affectionate, and it's like I might get 20% back what I'm putting out. It just really sucks. And it's painful and heartbreaking to see so many men, so many young men with so much potential being unknowingly led astray, being given bad advice by men who are older and so they appear wiser. A lot of these men do have good marriages, and maybe the advice they're giving is what works in their marriage or worked for them back in the day when they were dating, or that's what their wife happens to prefer. But a lot of these guys want to start painting all women as the same, and they want to just use this broad brush with men and women and telling men, okay, well, this is how you're supposed to do it. This is what all women want. And a lot of them are wrong. And it's terrible that so many guys really think they're experts on the opposite sex when they don't have a clue. And they're really repelling women, and then men end up, a lot of the time, I'm not saying all men, but a lot of them do become bitter and they want to blame women for everything. And they don't realize that it's because they've been taking some bad advice from other men, or maybe even also some other women, and they don't realize they're the problem. And that happens with women too, where they want to blame men too, and it's a mess. It's a mess. Communication is so important. It's so important. If you want to pursue a woman for marriage, ask her, what does she want? What are her desires? What are her expectations? And if you've been pursuing her for a while, check in with her. Like, I would say every week, every 2 weeks, no more than every month. At least once a month, ask her how she's doing in the relationship, what her honest feelings are, what you can do to improve. Like, asking a woman those questions, that can be a breath of fresh air. I know for me, I don't think I've ever had a guy, and I have been in so many relationships, it's not even funny. I don't think I've ever had a guy ask me, what can I do to be better? What can I do to improve? What would you like to see from me? What are your desires? What are your expectations? I'm always the one to ask these questions. And yet, all these dudes claim to be ready for marriage, yet a lot of them are like children on the inside. A lot of them don't want to serve, they want to be served. A lot of them have no emotional intelligence. A lot of them are paranoid as all get out, and they read so much into every little thing the woman says and does, and they think the woman is being passive aggressive and derogatory and she's out to get him somehow, even though he's the one that approached her. You know, a lot of these guys don't have a job, or they don't have enough money to support a wife or a family or anything. A lot of these guys have addictions or bad habits they're not willing to give up. Even if they end up mistreating this woman or being straight up abusive to her, they'll still just keep on, whether it's alcohol or prescription medication or hard drugs or whatever, they won't give it up. So on and so forth. I mean, it's just, I really am starting to get super tempted to write a series of books, because I don't think one book would have enough room. I wish I had the time, the money, and the whatnot to actually publish a book, because I have got such a history, such a life that I could spell out for you all. The things I have been through, the things I have heard, the things I've seen, the things I have, oh my goodness. Anyway, I said, thank God not all women are the same, because I'm not like that. I may have times where I'm busy, but I still cherish a man who knows what he wants, has clear feelings, and isn't wishy-washy. A lot of guys will call or text daily for the first few days or weeks, and then hardly reach out at all. That doesn't make me feel more attached to them. That just makes me feel like less of a priority, which pushes me away. I want a future husband that I can count on, not an immature boyfriend to play games with me. Now dudes are being told to play hard to get? Seriously? Can men be men and women be women again? Please? And I know a lot of guys will say, oh, women ask for that, but then they want A, B, and C. No, dude, I'm serious. I want a biblical marriage. 100%. Unfortunately, most people don't know what I mean by that, because most people don't read the Bible. Unfortunately, a lot of guys out there are sexist, abusive, controlling douche canoes. For real. Like, a lot of guys will claim to be Christian. They really do seem Christian. And hey, I really do think a lot of them actually have the Holy Spirit, which makes things even more confusing. I'm not even going to get into it. I really liked Queen Sylvia Seven's video about anointed enemies. That really opened my eyes. I'm like, you know what? I think that's been happening to me maybe this whole time, or most of the time, that I've been trying to court guys as a Christian woman. I think a lot of these guys are real Christians, or whatever you call it, but they just got so many issues. You can be a Christian and still be wrong. You can be a Christian and still be imperfect, you know? And a lot of guys, they just focus on what the woman's role is in the marriage. They got that memorized. They got that down pat. But then when you ask them to recite the man's role, well, then it's crickets. They'll be like, oh, well, I gotta lay down my life for you, or I gotta be the bossy one. I gotta lord over you. It's like, I don't know if you're reading the Bible, dude. I don't know if you are. I don't hear them recite the part of the Bible that says to treat your wife as an equal. No, it gets really quiet when anyone talks about that part of the Bible. Loving her like Jesus loved the church, laying your life down for her having authority over your body. No. Let's ignore these parts. Let's just focus on the woman is supposed to submit. She's supposed to submit to me. Okay. You know? I mean, hey, I like I said, and I've been saying it for years, it will take a miracle straight from Christ Jesus himself for me to get married in these crazy last days. But I'm holding out hope. I hope for the best and I expect the worst. That's been a saying of mine since I was maybe like 9 years old or something. Between like 9 and 14. I was like, expect the worst, hope for the best, you know? And that's what I try to do. So, maybe Even though I really believe I'm called for marriage, maybe God's got some plans that I'm not even going to voice out loud. Or, maybe my husband's waiting around the corner. Maybe I've already met my husband and we've already been talking and I don't even know it yet. I don't know. But the boy better hurry up. That's all I can say, because I'm really trying not to roll my eyes so hard that they pop out of my head. I'm trying not to get my heart broken so many times that I become bitter, because I know the devil, one of his biggest, most strongest agendas right now that no one's talking about because the LGBTs community is such a big deal, is the division of the sexes. He wants women to think all men are the same and they're a lost cause. And he wants all men to think all women are the same and that they're all a lost cause. Guess what, fellas? You have not met all women in the world, and you definitely have not dated every woman in the world either. So quit grouping us all together. And guess what, ladies? You have not met every man in the world, and you definitely have not dated every man in the world. So don't group them together either. There are some diamonds out there, and there's just, some people out there. I don't want to use the wrong wording. Trying to be very careful about the words that I use these days. Douche canoes. But there are some not so promising folks out there. Like I've said, most people are just crappy. Most people suck, both male and female. And I just hope that the actually decent people that we actually won't be wasting our time with by getting close to and allowing into our hearts on such a deep level, I hope those people stop being so shy, so quiet, and I hope they get bold, because it seems like the people that you do actually want in your life are so quiet, so hard to get a hold of, so shy. But can you blame them? Because they're getting treated the same way I am. They're getting thrown in the dryer, put on high heat, and they're left there for months. Like, come out looking like SpongeBob at the end of that movie when he gets all dried out under the hot lamp, man. That's what I feel like, okay? I feel all dried out, like I've had all the moisture stomped out of me by the devil, and I'm just waiting on a husband to moisten me up. No pun intended. But the honeymoon's gonna be lit, alright? Love you, bye!